So if you can find a posture where you can sit absolutely still and then see if you, get the itches over with, Joe. And then see where you feel the breath. I don't want you to be imagining the breath. I want you to feel it. And most people feel the breath either at their belly or at their nostrils. So you might notice as you're breathing, do I feel it more at the nostril or more at the belly? Without exaggerating it, just breathing naturally. Sometimes people feel it in their chest or their throat, but I give instructions mostly from the belly and the nostrils, which are the most common areas of practice. So it's a closed-eyed meditation, and allowing the first few minutes of the meditation to find the posture that you're willing to commit to. A posture that is reasonably comfortable, but where the back, the area from the base of the spine to the tip of the head, is also in a straight line. Is erect. And then before going to the breath, I'd like you to do a sweep with your awareness through the body, starting with the lower half of the body and pausing for a few moments in each location where you feel a sensation or where you feel a predominant sensation. And pausing with those sensations long enough either to experience how the sensations are changing, to experience their transience, or if that's not clear to you, pausing long enough to have a genuine sense of familiarity with the sensation. How does it really feel? And then moving on to the next sensation. And so working our way slowly through the lower half of the body, noticing in particular how it feels to sit on our chairs, our benches, our cushions. And then observing the sensations in the upper half of the body. Pausing at the area of the shoulders and the neck, where frequently we carry much of the tension of the day. And if it's easy to let go of the tension, that's fine to do, but the real object of our meditation, the real practice here, is just to observe what these things feel like. So if there is tension, noticing how it feels, noticing the quality of the sensation, noticing if it has a temperature, noticing if it feels soft or hard, noticing if it has a shape, if it's a point in space or if it has a dimensionality to it, and noticing if it's moving about. And so when you have a sense or an experience of sitting as just being these sensations arising and passing away in the body, then very, very gently allow your attention to shift to the area that you've chosen to follow the breath in, whether it's at the belly or the nostrils. And observe the breath at first just in its rhythm, just resting in the rhythm of the breath, so that you're observing. If you're following the breath of the belly, you notice how the belly expands and then how it contracts. And just kind of relaxing into that twofold movement. Or if you're following it at the nostrils, noticing how the sensations feel as the air enters the nostrils, and then how they feel as the air exits the nostrils. And while staying alert to your experience, at the same time, seeing if you can relax into it. If at this point in the meditation you feel any judgment arising inside of yourself as to your capacity to observe the breath, or if you feel any urge to control the breath so as to make it clearer or sharper or deeper or stronger, remember that the practice is just to notice whatever's there, even if it's just the slightest of sensations of the in-breath that you can find. To focus on those sensations when they arise. To let that be enough. And not to control the breath at all. And so when you have this sense of allowance, of allowing the breath to be just as it is, then very gently let the mind come closer in to the moment-by-moment sensations of breathing. Looking even at the beginnings or endings of sensations. So that if you're watching the breath at the nostrils, for instance, you might notice, what's the first sensation of the in-breath? Is it a sensation inside the nostrils, or do I experience a light sense of movement, tickling sensation on the upper lip or on the outer edge of the nostril? And then, after the first sensation, what happens next? Do I experience, for instance, the movement of the breath through the nostril? Does it have a coolness or a warmth to it? Does it have a shape? Is there a sense of dimension? Is it a cone-like shape, or is there a circular quality to the movement? What about the feeling in terms of pleasure or pain, hardness or softness? And then as you come to the ending of the in-breath, noticing if you can see the last few moments of the in-breath. If you can see them distinct from the first moments of the out-breath, or if they run together, if there's a kind of continuity between the in-breath and the out-breath. And then observing what the experience of the out-breath is like, just how it differs moment by moment from the in-breath. What's the first thing you notice about the out-breath? Is it that the breath is moving, but in a different direction? Is there a sudden quieting or calming to the breath, or does it speed up? Has the temperature changed? Does the breath feel warmer, for instance? And as you follow the breath out the nostrils, is the shape similar to what you experienced with the in-breath, or is it quite different? And then coming to the final moments of the out-breath, can you distinguish them as individual moments of sensation? Can you see what happens to the final moment of the out-breath before the in-breath begins again? If you follow the breath at the belly, at first just relaxing into how the breath expands the belly and then contracts the belly, knowing that you can always return to this very simple observation of the twofold movement of the breath. But then becoming curious what each sensation is like from the very first moment of the in-breath to the very last moment of the out-breath. So observing what is the first moment of the in-breath. Is it a very gentle sensation? Or is there a pulling or a pushing to it? Do you experience it, for instance, deep inside the belly or closer to the surface of the skin? Is the sensation just a point in space or a line? Or do you experience it as a two-dimensional or three-dimensional object? Sometimes people experience it as a big ball if they feel the whole belly. And what happens after that first sensation? What is the next sensation? Do you experience the in-breath as a series of changing sensations? Are they discrete, separate moments for you, each one different? Are they all very similar? Do they run together? Are they like a continuous movement? Does the breath occur in stages, or is it chaotic? And noticing how the end of the in-breath feels, noticing the last few moments. Does the belly feel more relaxed at this point, or does it feel more tense? Can you identify the final moment of the in-breath as distinct from the first moment of the out-breath, or do they run together? And then looking at what the very first moment of the out-breath feels like. Is it a relaxing moment, or does it have some tension to it? Do you experience a sudden shift in direction of movement? Is there a pulling or a pushing involved? Is the breath more in a hurry, or is it slower? And do you follow the breath at the same location in the belly, or is it shifted over time? Finally noticing what the last few moments of the out-breath feel like. Even seeing at the very last moment, you can see how it passes away, fades. Just a sensation, not your thinking about it. Just the sense of it. thoughts do arise in our meditation, the practice with them is to very simply, very gently let them go. Even when the thoughts feel compelling in some way, whether we're attracted to them or we don't like them, they can pull us in their direction. But as soon as we notice that we're thinking, regardless of the pull, we very gently and without judgment return to the breath. This practice of returning is the practice of meditation. As soon as we've wandered, we come back. And if the thoughts that pull us away are our physical condition in the body, if we feel a bit of pain or an itch, the practice again is not to respond unless we feel that it's really going to harm the body. The practice is just to notice the condition and then very gently return to the breath. Even if the condition is intense, if we feel it won't harm the body, the practice may shift, if it's quite intense, to actually shifting the object of meditation from our breath to the difficult feeling in the body, difficult, painful sensations. Observing the sensations with the same attentiveness that we watched the changing nature of the breath. And if what's disturbing us in our meditation are repetitive thoughts or a story that we can't let go of, or a feeling quality that is either unpleasant or alluring in some way, again, the practice first and foremost is to return to the breath as soon as we notice the mind has wandered. But if after repeated attempts to return to the breath, we find at most we return for a split second and then we're back with our story or back with our feelings, then our practice shifts. And again, just as with pain in the body, we might shift the object of our meditation from the breath itself to the feelings underlying whatever's pulling us away. Looking for the feelings in the body, identifying them as moment-by-moment sensations, continuing to let go of whatever thoughts arise, but focusing on the sensations in the body. And then when the story or the feelings no longer plague us, then very gently to return once again to the breath.